It's considered the birthplace of Islam.
You're looking at Mecca?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting.
The Black Stone.
From space.
The Black Stone is a rock set in the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the ancient building in the center of the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is revered by most Muslims as an Islamic relic which, according to tradition, dates back to the time of Adam and Eve. The stone was venerated at the Kaaba in pre-Islamic Arabia. According to tradition, it was set intact into the Kaaba's wall by Muhammad in 605, 5 years before his first revelation. Since then, it has broken into fragments and is now encased in a silver frame on the side of Kaaba. Its physical appearance is that of a fragmented dark rock polished smooth by the hands of pilgrims. It has often been described as a meteorite, but it has never been analyzed with modern techniques, so its scientific origins remain the subject of speculation.
My fellow Americans.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that.
That's pretty cool. I wonder if that's where the idea for the meteorite in Black Panther came from, that they revere. I know that's a part of the comics too, but I'm saying I wonder if the comics were influenced by that, the writers. Oh shit. That would make sense because it's the Black Panther.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit.
I wonder if I just nailed that. Either that or that's just like the biggest coincidence ever. You know what I mean?
It's not. They definitely named him after the Black Panthers.
Well, no, I'm saying the fact that he
Did he?
has like something that's like a black stone in the comics too.
Does he? Vibranium.
That's what I'm saying.
But they use the vibranium.
Yeah, but still. We got to get a list of like all these like famous like relics and things like the Black Stone, the Ark of the Covenant, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, it's religious artifacts are very fascinating.
They are.
Especially if it comes from space.
Especially, yeah. The fucking dagger that Tutankhamun or one of the pharaohs had. Who was it? Was it Tutankhamun? He had like a meteorite dagger. I forgot who it was. There was some kind of pharaoh that had a dagger made out of meteorite. And that's pretty cool. We did talk about the Spear of Destiny in the first episode that we did together. So that's a religious artifact that we
I
covered.
think the Spear of Destiny is less cool.
I always thought the Spear of Destiny was pretty cool.
Because it's more. I don't think it. I don't know.
Well, it's more of a cursed object. Remember, you were pretty much talking about like in the original episode, you were like, why is it like so revered? Because it did a pretty awful thing. So is that why you think about that? You know what I'm saying? The holiness trickled out of it from his blood into the spear.
Yeah,
man,
they believe that like his blood purified it.
do they?
Why? How else could they love that thing?
I guess that makes sense, but it's just like, oh my god, that's kind of fucked up. I like the idea that his blood just made it like, you know, it trickled some holiness onto it. I like that more than the idea that it purified it.
Also what they believe.
No, I mean, that's cool. That's cool with me. I don't get the purification, though. To me, it sounds like the holy, you know, the Spear of Destiny should be like something you stab demons with or some shit. Like the dagger.
People use holy water.
Yeah, dude, take holy water and put it on the Spear of Destiny, and boom, you've got like the ultimate like vampire weapon.
Does it even need holy water?
Oh, I'm sure holy water would
That'd
help.
be like that'd be like putting poison on a lightsaber.
No, that'd be like putting fire on a sword.
But like a sword's ordinary. Like the Spear of Destiny is more like a lightsaber.
It'd be like putting fire on Excalibur.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
That's a pretty good one, right?
Yeah, but it's Excalibur. Like, you don't need fire.
Just dip that bitch in some oil and light that bitch up. And then start going at the vampires.
Just use your blood. and pray, and it'll light your blood, pure fire.
What did you want to talk about today? Did you want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein again and hit the points that we missed on the last episode? I still haven't edited that one.
I want to hear. You ever see It's like a Middle Eastern conspiracy channel.
Oh, dude. You want to go all
Hold on,
Middle
listen.
Eastern conspiracies today?
I know, dude.
No, I'm just asking. Like, I didn't know if this episode was going to be like all that, like all Middle Eastern conspiracies, or we're just going to talk about the Black Stone real quick.
Because I just think that there's like a lot in that. Like jinn are in the Islamic religion, are in Islam.
No, I know. That's why I was telling
There's a
you
lot
to
of
take
bullshit.
more of a front seat because I don't know anything about any of this.
You could look it up and we could learn more together.
When I look stuff up, I usually have half of an idea about it, and I don't know.
Can I at least share a good YouTube channel with you?
Yeah, of course. What's the name of the channel?
I'm trying to find it.
All right. Well, let me do a little bit.
Can't find this. It doesn't exist anymore. The prophet warned about 5 beings.
I mean, we cover Middle Eastern conspiracies just about all the time, is what I'm getting from looking this up.
I hear you.
First thing it says, Göbekli Tepe is pre-flood civilization. Sumerians were taught by Anunnaki. Tower of Babel was a technology. I don't get that one. Ark of the Covenant as a weapon. That's one I wouldn't mind covering today. Dude, I love Indiana Jones. I'm down for like covering religious artifacts. I can look up a list of things that would be possibly used as Indiana Jones MacGuffins that we can just look into.
Found it.
Third temple construction is an interesting one.
What's that?
The idea that if Jerusalem builds a third temple, the apocalypse will happen. And that they've been trying to build a third temple for like a few years now over in Jerusalem, but they can't but yeah, that's part of the thing. Temple Mount. We should do some research into Temple Mount. But yeah, what do you got?
Is that temple or is that one that exists?
I forgot what Temple Mount is.
Oh.
Temple Mount is the third holiest site in Islam. The site of 2 successive temples in Jerusalem, it is now home to the Islamic compound known as Al-Aqsa, which includes Al-Aqsa's mosque and the Dome of the Rock. It has been venerated as a holy site for thousands of years, including in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I heard Temple Mount is where, like, the apocalypse is supposed to, like, start.
That's not good.
Yeah, Jews face the Temple Mount during prayer. Jewish attitudes towards entering the site vary due to its extreme sanctity. Many Jews will not walk on the mount itself to avoid unintentionally entering the area where the Holy of Holies stood, since according to rabbinical law there is still some aspect of the divine presence at the site. Since the Crusades, the Muslim community of Jerusalem has managed the site through the Jerusalem Walk. The site, along with the whole of East Jerusalem, was controlled by Jordan from 1948 until 1967 and has been occupied by Israel since the Six-Day War of 1967. Shortly after capturing the site, Israel handed its administration back to the Walk under the Hashemite custodianship, Jordanian, while maintaining Israeli security control. Israel enforces a ban on prayer by non-Muslims as part of an arrangement usually referred to as the status quo. The site remains as a major focal point of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The term Har Habayit, commonly translated as Temple Mount in English, was first used in the books of Micah and Jeremiah, literally as Mount of the House, a literary variation of the longer phrase Mountain of the House of the Lord. The abbreviation was not used again in later books of the Hebrew Bible or in the New Testament. The term remained in use throughout the Second Temple period, although the term Mount Zion, which today refers to the eastern hill of ancient Jerusalem, was used more frequently. Both terms are in use of the book of Maccabees. The term Har Habayit is used throughout the Mishnah and later Talmudic texts. The exact moment when the concept of the mount as a topographical feature separate from the temple or the city itself came into existence is a matter of debate among scholars. And according to Eliav, it was during the 1st century CE, after the destruction of the Second Temple, already referred to as distinct after the destruction of the Second Temple, Shahar and Schatzman reached different conclusions. In the books of Chronicles edited at the end of the Persian period, the mountain is already referred to as a distinct entity, and in 2 Chronicles, Solomon's temple was constructed on Mount Moriah and Manasseh's atonement for his sins is associated with the mountain of the house of the Lord. The conception of the temple as being located on a holy mountain possessing special qualities is found repeatedly in Psalms, with the surrounding area being considered an integral part of the temple itself. So is this area supposedly like where Solomon's temple was? Is that what this is saying?
Are they trying to rebuild Solomon's temple? Or does that still exist?
I don't know.
A good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. So the Temple Mount is central to end times theology, where many Christians believe a third Jewish temple must be built there to initiate the tribulation, which typically precedes the rapture or occurs during its early phase. The Antichrist is prophesied to defile this future temple, marking the midpoint of the final 7 years. So that the Temple Mount is where that is supposed to take place. I didn't realize Solomon's temple was destroyed in 586 BC. That wasn't that long ago.
Solomon was a guy.
Yeah. No, I know. No, I know that. It's just it's interesting. I didn't realize it was that like close to like now. But it says the proposed third temple in or following the rapture is a future distinct structure, not Solomon's temple, which was destroyed. I don't know why. I tried wording it in a different way, but it still got it that way. But it is intended to be a new building in Jerusalem where sacrifices will resume before the Antichrist desecrates it. Some interpretations, however, view the temple of God as a spiritual believer-based structure. Yep.
They're going to be... They talking about themselves sacrificing?
Yeah. Well, isn't that the thing with the rapture? Is they're supposed to sacrifice like a red cow, like a red heifer, and apparently that's like supposed to bring about the rapture when they sacrifice like a pure red cow. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess.
What do you mean?
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that?
Never.
How do I know all this end times prophecy shit? Red heifer in prophecy. The red heifer prophecy centers on a biblical requirement, Numbers 19, for a flawless, unblemished red cow, never yoked, whose ashes purify for ritual use. Crucial for the rebuilding of the Jewish Third Temple in Jerusalem, an event many Jewish people and some Christians believe signals the end times or Messiah's return. With recent appearances of such heifers in Israel fueling speculation about fulfilling this ancient prophecy and ushering in a new temple era. And here's an interesting thing that I learned this year, or this past year, is that they actually commissioned a company, like a biolab in Texas, to genetically engineer pure red cows. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's coming from gotquestions.org. So let me just state that. They say, what is the significance of a red heifer in the Bible? It seems that every few years, a red heifer, red cow is born in Israel, and it results in some people thinking that the return of Jesus is near. Why is this? What does a red heifer have to do with the end times? Before we explore that question directly, it is important to understand the significance of a red heifer in the Bible. To meet the requirements of the Old Testament law, a red heifer was needed to help accomplish the purification of the Israelites from the uncleanness. Specifically, the ashes of a red heifer were needed because red heifer ashes were necessary for the purification rites held at the temple. Many have regarded the appearance of a red heifer today as heralding the construction of the third temple and the return of Christ. According to rabbinical tradition, there have been 9 red heifers sacrificed since Moses' time. Since the destruction of the third temple, no red heifers have been slaughtered. The Rabbi Maimonides taught that the 10th red heifer would be sacrificed by the Messiah himself. The Temple Institute, a group advocating the construction of a third
the
temple.
Messiah himself is going to start the end of the world?
Apparently, that's what this is saying. The temple.
So fucked
That
up.
is pretty fucked up. The Temple Institute, a group advocating the construction of a third temple, reports that 5 flawless red heifers from Texas, this is what I was talking about, arrived in Israel on September 15, 2022. Many people view this event as fulfillment of prophecy, since the acquisition of a red heifer is a major step forward in plans for a new temple. The Mosaic Law specified that the red heifer was to be without defect or blemish, and have never been born a yoke. The sacrifice of the red heifer was unique in the law in that it is used a female animal. it was sacrificed away from the entrance to the tabernacle, and it was the only sacrifice in which the color of the animal was specified. The slaughtering of a red heifer is described in Numbers 19, 1-10. Eleazar, the priest, was to oversee the ritual outside the camp of the Israelites. After the animal was killed, Eleazar was to sprinkle some of its blood toward the front of the tabernacle 7 times. Then he left the camp again and oversaw the burning of the carcass of the red heifer. As the red heifer burned, the priest was to add some cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool to the fire. The ashes of the red heifer were then collected and stored in a ceremonial cleaned place outside the camp. The ashes were used in the water of cleansing. It is for the purification from sin, quote, from Numbers 19:9. The law goes on to detail when and how the ashes of the red heifer were used in purifying those who came in contact with a dead body. Whoever touches a human corpse will be unclean for 7 days. They must purify themselves with the water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day they will be clean. The purification process involved ashes of the red heifer in this way. Put some ashes from the burned purification offering into a jar and pour fresh water over them. Then a man who is ceremoniously clean is taken to some hyssop, dipped into the water, and sprinkled. Anyone who has touched a human bone or a grave, anyone who has been killed, or anyone who has died a natural death. The commands concerning the red heifer were yet another foreshadowing of the sacrifice of Christ for believers' sin. The Lord Jesus, without blemish, quote, just as the red heifer was to be, as the heifer was sacrificed, quote, outside the camp, Jesus was crucified outside of Jerusalem. And just as the ashes of the red heifer cleansed people from the contamination of death, so the sacrifice of Christ saves us from the penalty and corruption of death. Interesting. So yeah, you need red heifer, the rapture. Oh, cool. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I was trying to look up end time prophecies. What else should we look up?
Remember that channel I was telling you about before? Not the one just now, but also, did you look at the Middle Eastern channel I sent you?
No, I didn't even know I got it.
Look at your text.
I'm already subscribed to this channel.
I thought you would know about it.
I don't know. I just haven't really watched too many of the videos yet. Oh no, I've
A lot
watched a
of,
couple.
if
of
something's
them,
in your
actually.
subscriptions and you don't watch it, it like erases them from your feed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have watched a couple of the videos. I watched the 7 Towers of Satan one. I don't keep up with it, definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
So, do you remember the other channel I was telling you about the other night? And it was the guy Tyler Oliveira.
Yeah. Yeah, he's being isn't he being like followed and shit?
Is he?
Or is that somebody else? There might be somebody else. Like online they showed him that they were being followed by like black vans after they went to Epstein's Island.
Might have been him.
Epstein's Island. We should buy Epstein's Island. I know I said that before, but we should.
Buy Epstein's Island.
Yeah.
Don't you think somebody out there is trying to do that?
I'm sure they are. I was definitely thinking we should like do a GoFundMe or something like that. Be like, we want to buy Epstein's Island, get to the bottom of it, and just promote the shit out of it. I was just thinking that'd be good promotion for our podcast, honestly.
We just treat it like Zach Baggins' Haunted Island.
We want to uncover this shit. Help us buy Epstein's Island. We just need $120 million. That's it. Let's reach our goal. If we even make half that money, we'll be happy. Yo, imagine if we did that, dude. We might have missed an opportunity to do that, honestly, to try to make like a marketing stunt where we pretend to buy Epstein's Island. We should do that for like donations. We should put our donations like as a link, and it should say donate to us today to help us buy Epstein's Island.
We could say too, like before they destroy everything there.
That would be
Before
awesome.
they destroy everything there is to find out.
We on the island, Epstein's Island. We on the island, Epstein's Island.
I think I heard in one of the stories that he cemented in a bunch of tunnels so you couldn't access them after he was like being outed.
You know what's one thing I thought was kind of crazy? Remember how we were talking last night about the sulfuric acid and shit that he may or may not have bought?
Yeah.
Well, he apparently did that. And this is a thing that I didn't realize until listening to this morning on Breaking Points. So I'm kind of glad they covered this because this is insane. But Apparently, he did that the exact same day that he was being investigated, or they opened an investigation into him.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that part. I didn't know the dates lined up like that. That's that makes you think about that even more, you know?
Yeah, I think he had people on the island he had to kill.
Or he had some stuff that was buried that he needed to cover and take care of again.
That too. You don't think he had like a couple of slaves on the island?
Nah, he could have just given
That-
them to somebody or something, you know what I mean? Like he could have given them to like a prominent sheik or something.
Say so.
I feel like there's so many people that would have taken an Epstein slave, you know? He clearly had a wide base of clients.
I think anybody would take a slave from Jeffrey Epstein while he's being like taken down. Probably.
I don't know. Some of these people were still in contact with him after he had was in.
When you say when you say like a sheik, maybe a sheik, but like
That's what I'm thinking.
like Bill Gates. Bill Gates wasn't trying to get a slave at that time.
Bill Gates was trying to figure out how to make the world's greatest condom so he'd never fuck up again. That's another date that lines up is the idea that Bill Gates got into some shit and then wanted,
Bill Gates is just trying to erase all venereal diseases.
Yeah, he's trying to make the world's greatest condom. The unbreakable condom. The dates line up for that too, which is kind of funny. When I heard Bill Gates was trying to do that, I was like, wow, why? But now it makes all sense. But yeah, that's some crazy shit. Oh, we got to talk about the craziest thing that just happened. They were looking at unredacted Epstein files. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna came out and basically said that there's like 5 prominent individuals that need to be investigated in the Epstein files that they saw that were unredacted, and they want to know why the clients were redacted in the first place too. That was one of the things that they were calling for. They said that it looked like they did like a blanket redaction for women in it, but even women that were like conspirators too that apparently could have been involved, or women that were clients that could have been involved were also redacted. So it was hard to figure out who was supposed to be like redacted and who wasn't. So a lot of big mess, a lot of shit that they're saying that like is kind of just wacky, you know. They were asking a lot of questions like why the FBI or the high attorneys or whatever it was, the high justice attorneys or some shit would redact everything before the Justice Department got a chance to look at it, because that wasn't supposed to happen. A lot of crazy shit happening. Just figured I'd throw that out there. Holy shit, I think I need to drink something. I got like a major headache right now. Oh, I feel lightheaded. I feel like I just got hit with a psychic attack.
Maybe a really tiny dart.
No, it wasn't that. Oh, just my head.
Somebody walked up to you and stuck you with a needle.
No, I don't think that.
You wouldn't always notice, like, thin enough.
I think it was more likely that somebody drugged my weed than anything else, but I don't know. I just felt super lightheaded. And
Somebody poisoned your water supply.
no, I need to drink more water. It's probably the issue.
Heart attack gun.
It was probably eating all those Skittles at once and barely eating anything all day. That was probably...
Just pure sugar.
Yeah, that was... Honestly, that was probably the issue there. I just had like Taco Bell.
Could have been someone trying to silence you.
Yeah, it could be. Could be Havana syndrome. I strangely don't want to talk about Epstein anymore.
You know, it's a paranormal topic.
What?
Even actually, it's also like just a scientific topic.
What is it?
I forgot what it's called, but it's when people feel like they're the Messiah when they're in Israel, Jerusalem. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've never heard of that. Jerusalem syndrome.
That's what it
A
is.
rare, temporary, and often religiously themed psychiatric phenomenon where visitors to Jerusalem, particularly pilgrims, experience acute delusions such as believing they are biblical figures like Jesus, the Virgin Mary, or John the Baptist. It is not a recognized mental disorder, but an acute transient psychotic breakdown. Affected individuals may dress in robes, often hotel linens, recite verses, sing hymns, or preach in holy places. They may become convinced they are a prophet. It frequently affects devout Christians, though it has been reported among Jews and Muslims. It often strikes people with no previous history of mental illness.
And Muslims?
Apparently.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. The syndrome typically resolves quickly once the individual is removed from Jerusalem or after a brief period of treatment. Brief period of treatment. Hey, buddy, you're not Jesus. Calm down. Look around you.
Maybe it's that, like, there's souls there. Powerful souls that are lingering
and
there.
then they just possess some of these people.
Yeah.
Unlike schizophrenia, Jerusalem syndrome is spatially.
Or maybe not even possessed, but like they're just overcome by the like psychic energy there.
It is weird. It says unlike schizophrenia, Jerusalem syndrome is spatially and temporally limited to the city. That is strange.
Because those like spirits are there.
Has been previously regarded as a form of hysteria referred as Fierve Jerusalemene. It was first clinically described in the 1930s by Jerusalem psychiatrist Heinz Hermann, one of the founders of modern psychiatric research in Israel. Whether or not these behaviors specifically arise...
So it's existed like before World War II.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Whether or not these behaviors specifically arise from visiting Jerusalem is debated, as similar behaviors have been noted at other places of religious and historical importance, such as Mecca and Rome. It is known that cases of the syndrome had already been observed during the Middle Ages, since it was described in the itinerary of Felix Fabry and the biography of Marjorie Kemp. Other cases were described in the vast literature of visitors to Jerusalem during the 19th century. Bar El et al. Suggested that the approach of the year 2000, large numbers of otherwise normal visitors might be affected by a combination of their presence in Jerusalem and the religious significance of the millennium, causing a massive increase in the numbers of Jerusalem syndrome admissions to the hospital. Despite a slight increase in tourist hospitalizations with the rise in total tourism to Jerusalem during the year 2000, the feared epidemic of Jerusalem syndrome never materialized. They have 3 different types of Jerusalem syndrome. Type 1 is imposed on a previous psychotic illness. This refers to individuals already diagnosed as having a psychotic illness before their visit to Jerusalem. They have typically gone to the city because of the influence of religious ideas, often with the goal or mission in mind that they believe needs to be completed on arrival or during their stay. For example, affected persons may believe themselves to be important historical religious figures or may be influenced by important religious ideas or concepts. Type 2 is superimposed on and complicated by idiosyncratic ideas. This does not necessarily take the form of mental illness and may simply be a cultural, anomalous obsession with the significance of Jerusalem, either as an individual or as part of a small religious group with idiosyncratic spiritual beliefs. Type 3 Jerusalem syndrome is a discrete form uncompounded by previous mental illness. This describes the best known type, whereby a previously mentally balanced person becomes psychotic after arriving in Jerusalem. It can include a paranoid belief that an agency is after the individual, causing their symptoms of psychosis through poisoning and medicating. Holy fucking shit. What? What did that just say?
Read it again.
I gotta read that again. It can include a paranoid belief that an agency is after the individual, causing their symptoms of psychosis through poisoning and medicating.
Like we were just talking about.
Yeah, very strange.
Now you don't think you're some biblical figure or influenced by one, right?
No,
It's me that I feel that way.
No, that's not the part that I thought was strange. That's not at all.
No, I know, it was the poisoning.
No, that's not what I thought was strange. None of that was what I thought was strange at all. I didn't even think about...
Because we were just talking about that.
I wasn't even thinking about that, dude, to be honest with you. I was thinking more about the fact that it said that an agency is after the individual. Like, what agency would go after somebody who claims to be the Messiah in Jerusalem?
Yes, I see.
You know what I'm trying to say? You know? That's kind of a little bit of a weird little... I don't know. That's something... There's something weird there.
Some sort of agency.
Yeah. I want to see more stuff like this. List of Messiah claimants. What does that mean?
People who claim to be the Messiah, or people who were claimed to be the Messiah.
This is interesting. I mean, we got Jesus. We all know Jesus. But what else? What are some other dudes that claim to be the Messiah?
Wait. You know what would be fun to look into right now?
What?
I see it popping up on YouTube
I
recently.
really thought Messiahs was a cool idea.
It is, but I just wanted to, before we move on from Jesus, apparently people in Japan, or maybe just the East, believe that Jesus went over there after he was resurrected, and he lived out a long life there, and that's where he had children.
Oh, kind of like the idea with the Cathars and stuff, but like going towards the east instead of the west.
Perhaps, yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, we could look that up.
That's what I'm saying.
Jesus went to Asia.
You know what I've never really thought about? And I'm sure this is a simple answer, but Jesus was resurrected after he died, and then what happened after he was resurrected? He just went straight to heaven? That doesn't sound like resurrected. What happened after he was resurrected?
He became like a zombie. I don't know. That's a good question, because I'm not seeing anything about Jesus
You've
going
never
to
thought
Asia.
about it, right?
Yeah.
I've always just heard, like, yeah, he was like, he was resurrected on this day.
After Jesus was resurrected.
And then what?
After his resurrection, Jesus spent 40 days on earth appearing to his disciples and others to prove he was alive, teaching about the kingdom of God and preparing them for their mission.
Oh.
So he basically set up Christianity in that time. That was what that was.
And then what?
He offered physical proof of his resurrection, commissioned them to preach all nations, and finally ascended into heaven from the Mount of Olives. Jesus
The Mount?
Yeah, Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene, the disciples, including Thomas, and over 500 people at once. He appeared in locked rooms on the road to Emmaus and by the Sea of Galilee. He showed his wounds, walked with followers, and ate fish to demonstrate he was not a ghost. He's like, bro, you guys, I'm not a ghost. I swear. Look I can eat. I can do shit. Like, come on. Look at my wounds. He was basically like, I'm a zombie. You guys got to believe me. I'm a zombie.
He's like, spoiler alert for Game of Thrones.
Oh, God, that spoils me. He explained how the Old Testament scriptures connected to his life, death, and resurrection. Jesus restored Peter and gave the Great Commission, commanding them to make disciples of all nations, baptize them, and teach his commands. After 40 days, Jesus was taken up to heaven, promising that he would return in the same way. You can't make a promise like that, though. You know what I mean?
Turn in the same way from the Mount of Olives?
So where's the Mount of Olives?
Look that up.
Where's the Mount of Olives? It is a mountain ridge located immediately east of the old city of Jerusalem.
The East.
Yeah. Separated from it by the Kidron Valley, it is East Jerusalem, the West Bank, with the Palestinian neighborhood of At-Tor on its top. It serves as a significant religious site for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. It is a three-summit ridge with the highest point, Mount Scopus, to the north. It is known for having the world's oldest and largest Jewish cemetery, approximately 150,000 graves. It is frequently mentioned in the Bible associated with the life of King David and major events in the life of Jesus Christ, including his ascension in the Garden of Gethsemane at its foot. It offers a panoramic view looking west over the old city of Jerusalem. That's pretty cool. All right, what else do we got?
So how did he get to Asia?
I don't think he would have went to Asia. This seems like...
But why do people believe that?
I don't know. Let's see.
That's what I want to know.
Here's the little-known legend of Jesus in Japan. A mountain hamlet in northern Japan claims Jesus Christ was buried there. On the flat top of a steep hill in a distant corner of northern Japan lies the tomb of an itinerant shepherd who, 2 millennia ago, settled down there to grow garlic. He fell in love with a farmer's daughter named Mayuko, fathered 3 kids, and died at the ripe old age of 106. In the mountain hamlet of Shingo, he's remembered by the name Daitenku Taro Jirai. The rest of the world knows him as Jesus Christ. Turns out Jesus of Nazareth, the Messiah, the worker of miracles and spiritual figurehead for one of the world's most foremost religions, did not die on the cross of Calvary as widely reported. According to amusing local folklore, that was his kid brother, Isukiri, whose severed ear was interred in an adjacent burial mound in Japan. A bucolic backwater with only one Christian resident, and no church within 30 miles. Shingo nevertheless bills itself as Kirisudo no Sato. Every year, 20,000 or so pilgrims and pagans visit the site, which is maintained by a nearby yogurt factory. Some visitors shell out 100 yen entrance shell out the 100 yen entrance fee at the Legend of the Jesus Museum, a trove of religious relics that sells everything from Jesus coasters to coffee mugs. Some participate in the Springtime Christ Festival, a mashup of the multi-denominational rites in which kimono-clad women dance around the twin graves and chant a 3-line litany in an unknown language. In Shingo, the greatest story ever told is retold like this. Jesus first came to Japan at the age of 21 to study theology. This was during his so-called lost years, a 12-year gap unaccounted for in the New Testament. He landed at the west coast port of Amano Hashide, a spit of land that juts across Mayazu Eastern culture. At 33, he returned to Judea by way of Morocco to talk up what a museum brochure calls the sacred land he had just visited. Having run afoul of the Roman authorities, Jesus was arrested and condemned to crucifixion for heresy, but he cheated the executioners by trading places with the unsung, if not unremembered, Isakuri. To escape persecution, Jesus fled back to the promised land of Japan with 2 keepsakes, one of his siblings' ear and a lock of the Virgin Mary's hair. He trekked across the frozen wilderness of Siberia to Alaska, a journey of 4 years, 6,000 miles, and innumerable privations. This alternative second coming ended after he called to Hashinoe, an ox cart ride from Shingo. Upon reaching the village, Jesus retired to a life in exile, adopted a new identity, and raised a family. He is said to have lived out his natural life ministering to the needy. He sported a balding gray pat, a coat of many folds, and a distinctive nose, in which the museum brochure observes. When Jesus died, his body...
I don't get why they wouldn't just go along with he was resurrected and then he went to Japan. Why does he have to have some unknown brother that takes his place and dies for him?
I know, that's pretty wild. When Jesus died, his body was left
The
exposed.
whole point is that he's supposed to be dying for our sins.
Yeah. That would make the entire Christian religion a lie, basically.
Yeah.
When Jesus died, his body was left exposed on a hilltop for 4 years. In keeping with the customs of the time, his bones were then bundled and buried in a grave, the same mound of earth that is now topped by a timber cross and surrounded by a picket fence. Though the Japanese Jesus performed no miracles, one could be forgiven for wondering whether he ever turned water into sake. What? This all sounds more Life of Brian than Life of Jesus. Still, the case for the Shingo savior is argued rigorously in the museum and enlivened by folklore. In ancient times, it's believed villagers maintained traditions alien to the rest of Japan. Men wore clothes that resembled the toga-like robes of biblical Palestine. Women wore veils, and babies were toted around in woven baskets like those in the Holy Land. Not only were newborns swaddled in clothes embroidered with a design that resembled the Star of David, but as a talisman, their foreheads were marked with charcoal crosses. Wow. The museum contends that the local dialect contains words like Abba or Gaga, mother, and Aya or Dada, father, that are closer to Hebrew than Japanese, and that the old village name Hiramura can be traced to an early Middle Eastern diaspora. Religious scholar Aramasa Kubo, a retired Tokyo pastor, thinks Shingo may have been settled by descendants of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. As if to fuel this unlikely explanation, in 2004, Israeli ambassador Eli Cohen visited the tombs and dedicated a plaque in Hebrew to honor the ties between Shingo and the city of Jerusalem. That's interesting. Embassy spokesman Gil Haskell explained that while Hebrew tribes could have migrated to Japan, the marker was merely a symbol of friendship rather than an endorsement of the Jesus claims. Another theory raises the possibility that the tombs hold the bodies of the 16th century missionaries. Christian evangelists first came to Japan in 1549, but bitter infighting for influence in Japanese converts led to a nationwide ban on the religion in 1614. Believers went underground, and these hidden Christians, as they are called, encountered ferocious persecution. To root them out, officials administered loyalty tests in which priests and other practitioners were required to trample across or an image of the Madonna and the baby Jesus. Those who refused to denounce their beliefs were crucified. beheaded, burned at the stake, tortured to death, or hanged upside down over cesspools to intensify their suffering. More than 200 years until an isolated Japan opens its doors to the West in 1868.
So this story was told in recent. Pretty sure it was this story in the current arc, or well, it's its own story. It's Jujutsu Kaisen. It's the sequel. One of the characters tells that to an alien and is like trying to explain this like point of view, trying to relate it to their situation from where they come from. And she tells that story.
About Jesus going to Japan.
Well, about followers of Jesus, like believers in Jesus in actual history, were forced to desecrate depictions of Jesus, and like you said, I forgot the fucking name. What's Jesus's mom's name?
Madonna. An image of the Madonna was, or the Virgin Mary, you're saying.
Virgin Mary. Shit like that. They were forced to desecrate it, and if they wouldn't, then they were like punished for not changing their religion.
I just got why Madonna had a song Like a Virgin.
Yeah.
Wow. It took me this long in life to realize that. She was trying to do a Jesus thing. No wonder Jesus freaks hated her. That's worse than when John Lennon said that they're bigger than Jesus. You know what I mean?
They were like, this slut isn't Jesus's mom.
Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, it would... I guess, if you were around at the time, you would have thought about that. You would have been like, wait, Madonna? That's what they call the Virgin Mary. And she's got a song called Like a Virgin? What is she trying to prove? You know what I mean? And she does do a lot of religious symbolism in her stuff, and I never realized that. Like the song Like a Prayer, I think it is.
Like a virgin, all of her songs are just like a this, like a that.
Well, Like a Prayer is good. It's the one that was in Deadpool. Life is so unfair. Something, something. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. When you call my name, it's like a little bell down. Okay. But yeah, Madonna. We're figuring all kinds of shit out on this podcast. We're figuring out that Madonna's named after the Virgin Mary. Like, I'm figuring that out. He might have already known that, but I'm figuring that out. We're figuring out big things here. Imagine I'm just like that. This was the biggest thing of this entire episode, what we found out today. That Madonna's named after the Virgin Mary. Blasphemy. Do you want to talk about the jerky thing a little bit? Because I feel like that would be, I don't know. So you want to know what I was thinking with the jerky thing?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I was thinking, like, if you're a cannibal, like, if you're, like, somebody who's, like, genuinely, like, they say that people who are cannibals end up, like, developing, like, an addiction to it and, like, a craving for it, like human meat. I'm thinking, like, if you're a cannibal and you're somebody that, like, craves human meat, what are you gonna do? You're gonna want, like, really quick fixes of it. So what's, like, the best way to have, like, a quick fix of meat is to eat beef jerky. I'm thinking that he just made jerky as a way, one, to have quick, fixes of his cannibalistic tendencies, but also as a way to blackmail, too, some people. Because, like, let's say hypothetically you got somebody to eat all this jerky and you sent them over a bunch of, like, jerky, and then you got them, like, addicted to the jerky and all they wanted is to eat your jerky. And you suddenly, like, one day you tell them, you're like, well, I use, like, humans. I specifically put, like, babies in this jerky.
If you hear the way that he was like talking about jerky, you would think that he has an addiction to it.
That's what I'm saying. I think he is addicted. I think he's addicted to, like, people.
Do you remember the part where he was like, there's no excuse? Like, I only eat one thing?
Yeah. Well, what was really interesting to me is when somebody was describing him eating jerky and they said that he was going back to normal food.
Yeah.
And the way that they said normal was like, whoa, that's weird. Oh, hey, let's look that up. Let's see if any cannibals have ever made beef jerky.
Human jerky.
Did a Montana man sell jerky made from human meat? Let's open that up. That's from Snopes. This is gonna be stupid. We're not a big fan of Snopes on this podcast, and it's not because we don't like being proven wrong, but it's also because Snopes tends to be a lot of really stupid shit. Can we can we agree on that?
I have no idea about that.
Snopes is like Snopes came out hard. I started not liking Snopes because of Pizzagate, because Snopes came out hard on Pizzagate. So if that helps.
Yeah, but most of the world came hard at Pizzagate.
Yeah, but
and it sucks that they did, but like
yeah.
the whole world.
But Snopes is always very quick to like be on like the elite side on shit. So that's just my point of view. I don't know. This is from the human cannibalism page. The act or practice of humans eating the flesh or internal organs of other human beings. A person who practices cannibalism is called a cannibal. Wow, wouldn't you know? The meaning of, quote, cannibalism has been extended into zoology to describe animals consuming parts of individuals of the same species as food as well. So, for anyone curious, like rabbits will eat other rabbits, chickens will eat other chickens. What are some other animals? Wolves. Wolves will eat their young if it's a really harsh winter and they can't find any food that winter. True story. I wonder, maybe cats will do the same thing, but I know wolves do that. Anatomically modern humans, Neanderthals, and Homo antecessor are known to have practiced cannibalism to some extent in the Pleistocene. Cannibalism was occasionally practiced in Egypt during ancient and Roman times, as well as later during severe famines. Okay. The island Caribs of the Lesser Antilles, whose name is the origin of the word cannibal, acquired a long-standing reputation as eaters of human flesh. See, I always thought it was the Canaanites that you had cannibal from. That's interesting. Reconfirmed their legends were recorded in the 17th century. Reports describing cannibal practices were most often recorded by outsiders and were especially during colonialist epoch commonly used to justify the subjugation and exploitation of non-European peoples. Well, that happened everywhere, cannibal or not, so that makes sense. And not good, not a good thing, obviously. Therefore, such sources needed to be particularly critically examined before being accepted. A few scholars argue that no firm evidence exists that cannibalism has ever been a socially acceptable practice anywhere in the world, but such views may have been largely rejected as irreconcilable with the actual evidence. It's in Fiji, the Amazon, Congo. A lot of consumption of body parts or blood for medical purposes in early modern Europe. So that's pretty interesting to note. Early modern Europe had a form of cannibalism that involved blood. Consumption of blood. Interesting there. Reaching its height during the 17th century, this practice continued in some cases into the second half of the 19th century. Whoa. Cannibalism was occasionally been practiced as a last resort by people suffering from famine. Well-known examples include the ill-fated Donner Party. We got to look into the Donner Party one of these days. That's an interesting one. The Holodomor and the crash of the Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571. I think I heard about that one. After which the survivors ate the bodies of the dead. Additionally, there are cases of people engaging in cannibalism for sexual desire, such as Albert Fish, Issey Sagawa, and Jeffrey Dahmer, and Armin Mewis. Who's Armin?
Army Hammer.
That's not who it is, but Army Hammer is what I was thinking of when I was reading out those lists. That Armin Mewis, I think, is a guy that we've talked about on here before. He's that guy that asked somebody to eat somebody for, he wanted to eat somebody, so he asked on Craigslist to find a guy, and he found some suicidal guy. That's who that is. Cannibalism has been both practiced and fiercely condemned in several recent wars. That's a funny juxtaposition. It has been both practiced and fiercely condemned in several recent wars. Okay, interesting to note, especially in Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was still practiced in Papua New Guinea as of 2012 for cultural reasons. And cannibalism has been said to test the bounds of cultural relativism because it challenges anthropologists to define what is or is not beyond the pale of acceptable human behavior. I want to see religious cannibalism. Gastronomic and functionalistic explanations. Human flesh is eaten to provide a supplement to the regular diet, quote. Thus, essentially for its nutritional value, or an alternative definition for cases where it is eaten without ceremony in the same manner as the flesh or any other animal. While the term has been criticized as being too vague to clearly identify a specific type of cannibalism, various records indicate that nutritional or culinary concerns could indeed play a role in such acts, even outside of periods of starvation, referring to the Congo Basin. Nutritional value of the human body. Oh, this is a weird one. Okay. Cases of people eating human livers and hearts, especially of enemies, have been reported from across the world. I mean, that's not the weird one. That we all know that, I think. For anyone that wants a good movie, I think, where they do that, if I'm not mistaken, it's Legends of the Fall. Very good movie. After the Battle of Uhud, Hind bint Utbah ate, or at least attempted to, the liver of Hamza ibn Abd al-Muttalib, an uncle of Muhammad. At the time, the liver was considered the seat of life. French Catholics ate livers and hearts of Huguenots at the St. Bartholomew Day Massacre in 1572. And
Of what?
the hearts of the Huguenots.
Who are they?
A religious group of French Protestants who held to the Reformed tradition of Protestantism. So,
And who ate their hearts?
French Catholics. That's pretty fucking
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. At the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre in 1572. In some cases, also offering them for sale.
St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre?
Yeah, that's wild.
What the fuck is that?
Targeted a group of nations and a wave of Catholic mob violence directed against the Huguenots during the French Wars of Religion, traditionally believed to have been instigated by Queen Catherine de' Medici. Okay. In China, this is the thing that was crazy, was in this paragraph. In China, the medical cannibalism was practiced over centuries. People voluntarily cut their own body parts, including parts of their livers, and boiled them to cure ailing relatives. Children were sometimes because eating their boiled hearts was considered a good way of extending one's life. Emperor Wuzong of Tang supposedly ordered provincial officials to send him the hearts and livers of 15-year-old boys and girls when he had become seriously ill, hoping in vain that this folk medicine would cure him. Later, private individuals sometimes followed.
Dude,
Yep.
this is why Jeffrey Epstein was doing. This is why.
No, I know. This is.
They all believe it's mystical in some way for some reason.
Yeah. This is the shit that I was looking for. This is why I was reading. This is what I was looking for.
All Abrahamic religions are like, yeah, well, kids, if you eat kids, come on, like that's definitely going to heal you of all problems.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a lot of religions are like that. Later, private individuals sometimes followed his example, paying soldiers who kidnapped preteen children for their kitchen. When human flesh and organs were sold openly at the marketplace during the Taiping Rebellion in 1850 to 1864, human hearts became a popular dish, according to some who afterwards freely admitted having consumed them. According to a missionary's report from the brutal suppression of the Dungan Revolt of 1895 to 96 in northwestern China, thousands of men, women, and children were ruthlessly massacred by the imperial soldiers, and many a meal of human hearts and livers was partaken of by soldiers, supposedly out of belief that this would give them the courage their enemies had displayed. In World War II, Japanese soldiers ate the livers of killed Americans in the Chikajima incident. Many Japanese soldiers who died during the occupation of Jolo Island in the Philippines had their livers eaten by local Moro fighters. according to the Japanese soldier Fujioka Akiyoshi. During the Cultural Revolution in 1966 to 76, hundreds of incidents of cannibalism occurred, mostly motivated by hatred against supposed class enemies, but sometimes also by health concerns. In a case recorded by the local authorities, a schoolteacher in Mengshan County heard that consuming a beauty's heart cured disease. He then chose a 13 or 14-year-old student of his and publicly denounced her as a member of the enemy faction, which was enough to get her killed by an angry mob. What? After the others had left, he cut open the girl's chest, dug out her heart, and took it home to enjoy. In a further case,
Dude, that's
that
insane.
yeah, that's
This really happened?
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Was this guy like a saint in their religion too?
I have no idea.
Look that up. Who did that, and like what happened to them? And how do people think about him?
Well, I mean, it was in China. According to the Chinese writer Zheng Yi, who researched these events, the consumption of human liver was mentioned at least 50 or 60 times in just a small number of archival documents. Talked to the man who had eaten human liver and told him that barbecued liver is delicious. I don't know. I'm having a hard time finding that one. Let's just go to the next one, because I still want to keep, like, looking at some of this shit. Oh, it's getting late, huh?
What time is it?
It's 1:58.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can find, wow, they have modes of preparation in here. That's crazy. Human flesh was most typically boiled with roasting, also used to prepare the bodies of enemies and other outsiders. Baking. In Solomon's Islands in the 70s, a British captain saw a dead body dressed and cooked whole. Okay. Several serial killers, among them Carl Dank and Andre Chikatilo, consumed parts of their victims. A few other people, such as reporter William Seabrook and artist Rick Gibson, ate human flesh out of curiosity, without killing anyone for the purpose. Huh.
Did Jeffrey Dahmer not eat anyone?
No, he did. That was like the thing that he did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.